Okay, this is step one of the process, setting up Dropbox. Basically, what you need to do is just simply go to www.dropbox.com and you're going to be coming to a screen that looks like this. Now, just be aware that at time of creating this video, this is how Dropbox appears, and when I show you setting up the Dropbox, some of the prompts may be different, depends upon when you get to see this video and set it up for EasyAs. Please remember that I am not doing this for you to use Dropbox for anything but showing you how you can use it with EasyAs. Anything outside of this, any issues or complications with Dropbox itself, you're going to have to go back to Dropbox for that. We cannot supply support or give advice on that. So just be aware of that. However, look, it's really a simple process and the fundamentals are never really going to change. No matter what happens to Dropbox in the next 3 months, 5 months, 2 years, 10 years, the fundamentals are really still going to be the same. So for now, this is basically what you need to do. You go to Dropbox, you sign up here and create an account. You click here and you can create a new account. Pretty logical. Once you've created an account, download the Dropbox software. What this is this is the software that's going to run on your PC. So right now, I'm going to set this up on my main PC. So I'm download the software. Just click that there, and it's normally going to start pretty well straight away, and it's going to pop up and ask you to save it somewhere. And there we go, it started up my program that saves it. Just save that file to your computer somewhere, and remember, naturally remember where you save it, because once it's downloaded, you then need to run that program to install it on your computer. Right, so I'm going to save this here. This might look different on your computer because I'm using a program that does this for me. Now, I'm going to open up the folder. This is where it saved it on my computer, in amongst all those other testing stuff that I've got. I'm going to now install that program. So I'm just going to double click on that, and it's going to start the normal Dropbox installation. Excellent, it's exactly what I wanted. So now I just install Dropbox. I click install. There are a couple of key things I'm going to point out as we go along here, just so that you understand what's going on. Okay, once Dropbox goes through that very first bit, it's going to come up with this screen, and it's going to ask you, do you already have a Dropbox account? Naturally, we just created one, so I click yes, I already have one, and I can go next. If you didn't create one before, you can actually do it now, I believe. But in any state, I've already created one, so I've already got one. I'm going to click next. Click that, click next. And here's where you put in your details. Just give me a second, I'm going to enter my details. Once you've entered your details, you just click next. This here is going to be the name of the computer, whatever computer name your Windows is labeled as. In this case, this computer is called Vista. I suspect you could rename that, but look, I don't worry about things like that. That's what it's named as. I'm only concerned if Dropbox works or not. So I just leave that as is. I couldn't be bothered. Click next, and it comes up down the bottom here, and it's waiting to do a link, and it's registering. Now, if you got to this stage, it's normally because it worked. Lockbox has talked to Lockbox and your computer. That talking has happened. So now it's asking you, do you want to use the 2 gig free account? Do you want to upgrade for a monthly account of these? 99% of people are only going to be using the free anyway. And if you're using anything more than that, you're probably already been using Lockbox and you already have an account anyway. Clicking next. Now, here's the points I want to point out. Lockbox is going to create a directory on your computer. This directory is the location of where Lockbox looks. This is where you save your files to, or this is where the files that are located in the Lockbox directory are the ones that end up going from your main PC to the internet down to your laptop. It only does that to those files in that location, and this is what you're about to tell the computer. Where is that location going to be? Now, you might assume if you're already using Lockbox, you already have a location and this is relevant to you. If you're new to it, using Lockbox, you might assume, well, let's just use the EasyAs directory, because of course we're creating Lockbox or setting it up for EasyAs. However, I don't suggest you do that. I suggest you put Lockbox in a completely different location. Use the typical setting for whatever, for all intents and purposes. That's what I do. I'm going to click Advanced in a minute and show you what the typical settings are anyway. Because what happens is once you start using Lockbox, you're going to discover that you're going to want to use it for more than EasyAs. It's got nothing to do with EasyAs. Lockbox is a completely separate entity. Lockbox can be for photos, it can be for Word documents, it could be for anything that you want to save or share with another computer. Lockbox can be used for families. You can share photos with your relative in another country, and they can see the photos as they're updated as soon as you update. So there's a lot of avenues for Lockbox. So I suggest you use the typical settings. Now, if I click Advanced, it's going to tell me what the typical settings are going to be anyway. So I'm going to click Advanced, and I'm going to click Next. Okay, once we click Advanced, we are presented with this screen here. It's going to come up and say, it's already ticked and selected to install Lockbox in the folder of your My Documents folder. Now, that would be the most logical place for it to go, because all your documents go into My Documents mostly, and it's just going to create a completely new folder in there, and it's going to be called Dropbox. Here you can select a completely new location if you want to change it. I don't change it, I just leave it as the default location. So in actual fact, I didn't have to come into the advanced, so I could have just clicked, I'm going to go backwards, I could just click typical. If I click typical, it's going to install it there anyway. But I'm going to click advanced because I like to always control and like to see what's going on. So I click advanced, I make sure that that's selected, I click next. Okay, once that installs, you get this screen coming up here. Remember, I'm using the advanced setup, so on your typical setup you probably don't see any of this at all, because it's going to assume that it's natural that you want the folders in Dropbox to sync with the folders on the internet. So it's going to assume that you want the files in your Dropbox location on your PC to link with the Dropbox location on the internet, which is logical because that's exactly what we're trying to set up. So because I've chosen advanced, it starts to give you more features and it allows you to select individual folders. But as you see, I'm just leaving it default anyway. I'm just wanting you to see everything as we go along. So it's just asking me, do you want all the folders in the Lockbox location to be synced? Of course I do. So I click Finish. So the last thing is to install. So it's now done that. Once that's done, you get this welcome screen. And this is just a little bit more instructions on Lockbox. So you can just go through that. It's a tour. You can click skip the tour if you want. Click next. I'm just going to skip the tour. That's up to you whether you want to go through that. And it comes to the last page, and that's it. So now I click finish. Lockbox is set up. Now you'll notice that as soon as I clicked finish, then it actually opened up the Lockbox location. Now if you look down the bottom here, my screen popped up that it's linked to Lockbox to say that this computer's linked. And you'll notice there's a new little icon down the bottom here. These here is it creates a photos directory in your Dropbox, it creates a public directory, and this getting started comes from Dropbox itself. So I think it also puts some temporary sample folders in there. You can delete all that if you don't want any of that. I mean, I typically do. I go in there and I don't want it, so I delete it. That's about it for the installing of Dropbox on the main PC. The only other thing we now want to do is, what I suggest is you go ahead right this moment, because the moment Dropbox is opened on your PC, see it's my D files, my document, that's the location of Dropbox on this PC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a folder called EasyAs. And that's where my data files are going to go. So I've created a folder called EasyAs in my Dropbox folder. So if you don't know how to create folders, it's simply a matter of right click, go down to new folder, and you can create a folder. But I'm pretty sure you should know how to do that by now. So I'm creating a folder in my Dropbox locations, no different to any other folder on your computer, called EasyAs. That's the first computer completely set up. So right now I'm just going to log into Lockbox on the internet, because what it's done before is, in step one, is we downloaded the software from Lockbox. We set up our account, we downloaded the software, we installed it on our computer. Now I'm just going to jump into Lockbox itself and show you that, see how I created this new EasyAs directory on my computer? You're going to notice that Lockbox has now also created that on the internet. because what it's doing is it's saying, hang on, you want this computer to sync to DropBox itself on the internet. You've suddenly created a new directory, so DropBox has to create a new directory. It has to do everything you tell it to do on your computer. It does the same thing. I'm going to prove that. I'm going to log into DropBox. I'm going to show you that it's already started to update DropBox, and it's updated it with the EasyAs directory. Now, there we go. I've just signed into DropBox, and you will notice that EasyAs directory has updated to DropBox. That wasn't there a minute ago. If I open that up, there's nothing in there. It's an empty folder, which is exactly how it is on my PC. It's empty. There's nothing in there. So this is a fresh, new DropBox that I've created just for this tutorial, guys. Okay, now, when you first logged in here, I think I skipped something. You're going to see this come up. When you first open up DropBox, it's probably going to go to this getting started screen. Now, where I actually showed you a minute ago, I was in the DropBox itself. So if you click here, you get this getting started. If I go back to DropBox, this is where I was a minute ago. Okay, so you'll see that this here is a direct reflection of what's on your PC. Now, when you're in DropBox, you've got to be careful, guys. Don't go deleting stuff from DropBox, because DropBox is the master controller. If you delete stuff in DropBox, it's going to assume you want that deleted off your PCs or any PCs that are linked to the DropBox. So it's going to delete that off there as well. So you should only delete stuff in DropBox if you want it deleted. So just be aware of that. In this case, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to delete this particular file. I'm going to right click on that file and I'm going to delete it. Just getting started because I don't want it anyway. Delete this file, yes. Now, that deleted it from DropBox. I go back to my PC. See how quick that was? It just came up and told me on my PC it deleted it. It deleted it from my PC in a matter of seconds. That updated to my PC from the internet very, very fast. But that was only a simple deletion, so it wasn't really a file uploading. It was really easy, you just had to delete it. So just be aware of that. Great, now so DropBox is set up. So what I need to do now is to do the same thing on my laptop. Except this time, I don't need to create a new account. All I need to do is download the DropBox software, install it on my laptop, and use this account details. The details of this account is the same one that you put on your laptop. The difference is set it up and don't do anything. Don't create this directory on your laptop. The EasyAs directory I first created on my main computer, don't do that. You're going to find the moment you set it up, give it a few minutes, the moment it's logged in, it's going to create it for you. And that's what you want it to do, because what it's doing is it's saying, we set up DropBox on our main computer. It goes back to an image that I showed you earlier where we had the arrows pointing from your main computer to DropBox and an arrow pointing from DropBox back down to your laptop. That's what it's doing. It's set up your main computer. You've got files on your main computer. It creates, in this case it was a subdirectory on my main computer. It created that and sent that to the DropBox. And the moment you log in with your laptop, DropBox says, hang on, the laptop hasn't got this folder yet, so now it's gone ahead and created it on your laptop, and you don't have to do that. And you don't want to do that. You got to do this. Some things you do only once, so just remember that. Okay, so go ahead and set up DropBox on your laptop, and after a couple of seconds of logging in, or it might take a minute, you're suddenly going to notice it's going to have created a directory automatically for you. So watch it do that, and then you're going to go on to step 2 of the process.